Hey, what is up guys, it's TechSoSerious, and if you're building a new PC, you might be confused about which CPU to buy. Which CPU provides best bang for your buck performance, Intel or AMD? Well, let's find out. Now before I start blabbering about technical stuff, note that this video is being recorded before AMD Zen CPU release. The market will change after Zen comes out and this video might not be relevant anymore, so keep that in mind. So first things first, AMD or Intel? Well, that depends. If you're on tight budget, then AMD, but if you have a moderate budget, say $700 to $800 or even less than that, Intel would be a better choice. You just can't pick one as a better option over the other. AMD has some pros and cons and so does Intel. We are not going to do an in-depth discussion about it right now as it will be in a separate video. So if you are watching from the future, be sure to check that video out. I will leave a link to that video on the top right corner. So now let's start off with the low-end CPUs and then move to the expensive ones. Starting off is the AMD Athlon X4 series CPUs. We have two processors from this series which are under $100 but pack some serious power. The X485 and the X4 860K both pack 4 cores and 4 threads, with the major difference being the speeds at which they both work. The 845 runs at 3.5 GHz with a turbo frequency of 3.7 GHz. It has 1 meg of L2 cache and a lower TDP value as compared to the 860K. The 860K runs at 3.7 GHz, which can be boosted up to 4 GHz. It has 2 megs of L2 cache with a TDP of 95 watts. So, the 860K is way hotter than its sibling. Both can run most of the newer games at 1080p, but don't expect a buttery smooth gaming experience. Also, don't throw a 1080 or a 980 Ti or even a 970 at the X4 because it will cause serious bottleneck issues. If you're more of an Intel fan, then you have only one choice when it comes to Intel CPU under $100 price tag. It's the G3258. It's a dual core clocked at 3.2 GHz with 2 threads and no hyperthreading. It has 3 megs of L3 cache. It does beat the AMD counterparts by a significant margin and should be considered a solid option for the aforementioned X4s. Let's move to the mid-range CPUs. All the CPUs mentioned in this category are between $100 to $200 price tag. We have a lot of options in this price bracket, so I've again divided it into lower mid and the higher mid tier CPUs. Let's start off with lower mid tier CPUs. Here we have the i3-6100 and the FX8350. The i3 rocks 2 cores and 2 threads and beats the FX in single core performance by a large margin. It's clocked at 3.7 GHz with 3 MB cache and costs $118. Its counterpart, the FX8350, is an octa-core processor with 8 threads and a slightly higher frequency of 4.0 GHz. You will get better multi-core performance from the FX, which is good for content creators or animators and graphic designers. The cons of the FX are its TDP and cost. The FX costs $145 and has a 125 watt TDP, whereas the i3 has a TDP of 51 watts. That's a significant difference. If you are concerned about the gaming performance of the CPUs, then long story short, the 8350 kicks ass. It performs really well in many games and justifies the higher price tag. But don't let the i3 deceive you with its 2 cores. It performs really well in most of the games and you can expect 60 FPS at 1080p gaming experience when paired up with a powerful GPU. Now let's move on to the high mid-tier category. Here we have the i6500 from Intel and nothing from AMD. If you are building a PC particularly for gaming and doing casual editing, then the 6500 won't let you down. It's a quad core with 4 threads and runs at a base frequency of 3.3 GHz. It has 8 megs of L3 cache and a TDP of 51 watts. You can pair it up with any modern GPU without any bottlenecking issues. Cost $200 but best for 1080p gaming or even 1440p gaming. So highly recommend it. Now let's move on to the high tier CPU range. Here we have the i7-6700K which cost around $300. So if you have that kind of money, then I highly recommend that you donate it to me. But if you don't want to and rather invest it in your computer, then the i7-6700K is what you need. Now if you are a professional gamer or a streamer, then the i7 is for you. It's only for those who do a lot of Premiere Pro editing and animations. But if you are a casual gamer, then please buy the 6500 and rather invest the extra money in a powerful GPU. The 6700K is overclockable, hence the K. It has a base frequency of 4 GHz and can be safely overclocked. So I think I might have helped you clear most of your confusion. If I did, hit the like button. If I didn't, hit the dislike button, get subscribed, and I will talk to you in the next one.